Now, one of the most important things for me as a player are the whole previews, because I don't use any cameras when I'm playing links. The only way I can navigate around a course is through actual visual sight from the tee and any information that's on the hole previews. So it's quite important for me, especially on a strategic course where there could be hidden obstacles, to have an overhead view to be able to find my way around a course. Now, this is a hole preview I made for the Billabong's HD release, and it's basically just got the minimum information I need, which is a view of the complete hole. I need to see where the tee is. I've seen hole previews that don't show the tees at all. They start at the fairway edge. Well, that's no good at all to work out your line from the tee. So you really need to see where the tees are. An overhead of the hole and some form of measurement somewhere on the hole. This is just a 270 yard mark I place on them, just so that you can work out all your distances from. So I know this tree is going to be about 260, 250, and I can work it out. Same if I'm playing off a front tee, I can take the yardage off the scorecard, subtract it from the back tee distance, and I'll know what distance this 270 yard is from the ladies, possibly 230, 220, whatever. So the easiest way to get your overhead views is from your course itself, either from APCD, but probably even easier than that is to use the actual game. So I'm going to go into links now, and I'm going to load in a course into practice, and I'll select all the holes, set it to driving only, and I'll simply turn the top cam on and set it to a size roughly the same size as a hole preview. So I'll turn the hole preview on first. We can see the size of the hole preview, and we need to set the top cam roughly the same size as this. That way we won't have to increase or decrease the size of the image later, which will lose a lot of detail. So it's best to try and get it to the size you want to use. So if you're going to be on your hole previews using quite a small image, you want to set your top cam view quite small from the start. So let's just shut that, put the top cam on, and this is already set to the same size because this is what I was using my top cam for. And from the tee I can simply hold control, press F10, and that will take a snapshot of the screen and save it in the main links folder. I then just need to go next hole and do the same again, and I'll get 18 hole preview sized images of the course. Then it's into Photoshop to create the actual hole previews. Now I'm into Photoshop again, and size wise we need to create an image size of 298 by 500 pixels, and that's the complete size of the background for the hole preview. The actual image of the course doesn't have to be that size. In this case it is, but I've done other hole previews such as Batley Peak here, where I've got a smaller image for the hole itself, and then I use the rest of the space to add text and whole information. And basically it's exactly the same as working on a logo or a splash screen. Just build it up in layers, exactly the same. Here's an Anakin Beach one. It looks more complicated, but again, it's just layers. This wobbly shaped hole, which a lot of people tend to do rather than using a rectangle, they actually cut the hole out around the sort of shape of the hole. Very easy to do once you've got your layer. I should hide all the other layers. This is our layer, and all I've done using an eraser brush, I've just rubbed out around until I've kept the area I want with a soft edge brush, just to create a nice faded area. And this double white highlight that I've got around the image is simply a blending option layer. I love these blending options. I use them on text and pretty much anything, but this is just an outer glow. If I turn it off, you'll see I think I've got another image turned on underneath, which is why it's not disappearing completely, because I've now turned on these other layers. Because what I do is I use a template, create a template for one hole, and I load in all 18 hole images into memory, and then I just turn on one by one the one I want to make, and then alter the text. So for this might be hole 3, this image. I would just simply select this text. If I go to move, I would go on text, click on the text, and if this was hole 3, I would simply delete the 2, type in the 3, and the same with the yardage. This might be 187 yards, bar 3, and I can use the same basic setup and just change the whole image for each one, change the text, any tips, whatever, and then save a copy of that. I usually save it still as a PSD, so it's still in layers for each hole, and then I resave it again as a JPEG, which is what it needs to be to go into APCD. So for this one, I've just added an extra layer here. This palm tree I've just added for a bit of graphical effect. If I select the layer, you'll see it's just a cut out tree, and I've just put it in overlaying across the image to look a bit arty. But you can basically do whatever you like with the whole preview, as long as you give the relevant information. It's pretty unlimited to what sort of look you can get from using layers and a paint program. If I go back to the Billabongs one, I've even made these little T markers out of text as well. This is just a full stop. And again, each one's on a separate layer, so when I did hole 2, I would load in the image of hole 2, and then move all these markers into position where they would be. So if that was hole 2T, I would place that there. I could select my 270 yard marker, place it wherever it needs to go for hole 2 once the new image is in. And if it's a par 3, I'll just simply hide it for that hole, because the hole would be less than 270 anyway. Quite often I'll use filters as well to create a different look. So you could change the look of your image by going into different filters and give them brush effects and such like. For this particular one, all I did was enhance the color. It was a lot duller originally, the screenshot where I cut out the hole, and I simply went to image adjustments and increased the saturation and the brightness to give it a more vibrant colour and stand out a bit more as a whole preview. One thing that happens when you do take snapshots with the overhead is the water won't be displayed. If it's reflective water, it will just come out black, so you'll need to colour this by hand if you want it a different colour. For the whole previews in Billabongs, I just used a fill command and a new colour blue. And I simply applied the colour by just filling it in with a bucket, just to give it a more colourful look. But that's pretty much it for whole previews. They're quite simple to do. Just make yourself a template for one hole, and then you can just alter the details for each hole. Load in all 18 images. I rename them hole 1, hole 2, hole 3, so I don't get confused. And then I simply, when I finish hole 1, turn the hole 1 image off, light the hole 2 up. You can see this is the colour it used to be. This is the unenhanced one. So this is what happened when I brightened the colours up afterwards. But normally I would do that on all 18 holes, the colours, and set those up first before I start finishing it off. But yeah, change to hole 2, change the info to hole 2, save it, turn it off, hole 3, just go through till you've got 18. Save them as a JPEG, and then all you need to do is add them to your APCD. So I'll just quickly go into APCD, and in our APCD, if we go to course properties, custom images, you'll see add whole preview here, and we just click add, and we pick our whole preview. The only confusing thing here is the whole numbers are numbered 0 to 17 in APCD, just to confuse you, rather than 1 to 18. So you have to remember what number you've put in. It can get a bit confusing if you forget what number you're up to. So as I add hole 1, it's 0. I'll add 2, it'll come out as 1. So I tend to count to myself as I'm doing it, otherwise I get completely confused. So I'm already confused. I think I'm on 3 now, and I add 3. So when we're finished, it'll say hole 17, and we know we're done, all 18 holes. Then it's just a matter of saving it, and job done.